welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to my first ever Bionicle MOC Showcase. Now, this is the first time I make a long-form video about a Bionicle MOC that I've built. However, this is not the first MOC I've built with my collection. I've done a few here and there throughout, just small things to put into practice. Feel free to check out the videos I've posted on my shorts or on my Instagram, which will be linked in the description. However, this is the sort of long time coming major MOC that I've been building over the past few weeks, mixed in with a little bit of work, but I'm finally done with it, and I'm ready to show it off to you guys. Context, what are you looking at? Now, this is my personal depiction of Makuta Tridax. Note, not Makuta Tridax, Makuta Tridax. That's a completely separate character who is an actual official Makuta character within the story. We never got a physical, image depiction of the character in any comic or anything, so most of the MOCs out there of Tridax are just, interpretations, basically, and most of them will use Brutaka's mask, for example, in a little bit of gold. Why? Because he does wield or use the Kanohi Olmec, which is the Mask of Dimensional Portals. However, I wanted to take a slightly different approach. I found myself having a lot of dark red and lots of black and silver, so I went with, as you can clearly see, more of a classic Makuta color scheme, being the dark red, the black, and the silver. Story-wise, Makuta Tridax, according to the Bionicle fandom,
was created 100,000 years ago on an island in the southern islands. His body was molded by Matanui using the Makuta pool in the living bodies of the Makuta species. His mission, like the rest of the species, was to create biomechanical, rocky, and plant life to populate the Matoran universe during 75,000 to 70,000 years ago. Tridax was assigned to Talahaga Squadron, which was either corrupted or killed following the Brotherhood's corruption.
An intriguing character, and I like the depictions of other people, but as I mentioned, this is my personal approach. Now, let us quit beating around the bush and get into it. So, one of my main focuses with this MOC was the height. And I'm not sure you can tell very well, the camera doesn't do it justice, but this guy is fucking massive. He doesn't really fit in the frame, and I actually have to hold my camera quite far away from the table where I have him standing, but he doesn't even fit in the full frame. It's a horizontal frame, and he's just way too tall for it. I measured him out, and I believe him to be 1 foot 15 inches, so he is actually taller than even Toa Matanui, which is probably the tallest Bionicle set that was ever released. So he is one tall motherfucker, that's for sure. And as you can see, one of the main characteristics that I saw carried throughout most of other people's MOCs for Tridax were wings. So I figured I'd add the wings to kind of carry somewhat of a design language, so maybe it's a little more recognizable that it is Tridax and not just some other Makuta. However, I really could have put any other name to it, honestly. So getting into the details, we'll start from top to bottom, starting at the feet. Now, this is one of the main focus points here. The feet and the legs. Why? Because this was what would basically end up deciding how tall the guy was. And I really went into detail. I really went down here. So the feet are pretty custom in nature. Not a super crazy design going on, but I basically used some lift arm pieces angled downwards to, along with this Matoran piece up front and some golly hooks back there. My goal here was to give it somewhat of a boot look, and I think I accomplished it well, along with the classic Pohatu Nuva claws on the back as the kind of spurs. If you know, you know. This is a design feature that personifies Makuta very well. Why? Because the original Makuta Tridax set from 2003 features this exact design back on the, I guess, shins or whatever you want to call it. Moving up, and probably one of the main distinguishing features of this MOC is the legs. Why is that? Let me show you. So if I tilt the camera down a little bit just so you can see a little better, as you can see, I have implemented a digitogrid design. So I could just stand him normally, right? You can You can see here, he stands regularly. Pan the camera down a bit. So he stands regularly just as he should, with the knees sort of bent back. If he would fucking balance. The knees sort of bent back just like so. However, what I can do is actually pull this all back. All of it. Pull it all back. Just like so. And you can stand in a sort of digitigrade fashion. Now, it does the job somewhat well. I think the two Roxy legs that he has there sort of make it look a little thicker than I would have liked to, but the stability works overall, and I can employ that, right? It makes him a little shorter, and you have to kind of pull his body back a bit, but it does the job well, and I like that function that I was able to implement. This is all attached to a upper leg design, which is mostly made up or mostly structured by a Borak kind of face or headpiece right there, as you can see in the middle. And I've implemented a large gear, the ones featured on Tridax's shoulders, as a way to add more width to the upper leg. Got some armoring up here in the form of some toemetry feet. And as we move up, I have actually implemented as well a sort of friction element. This is accomplished with a tension band, a rubber tension band. I think these were the ones in Nivok. And this way, the leg can sort of have a little bit of give. So, as opposed to being just on the ball joint, where maybe if you have a loose joint, it'll flop around a lot. This one gives a little more give, so basically there's more tension when you pull at the leg, and it gives it just more structural soundness. So this works backwards and forwards, as you can see, and that sort of just goes up into the body, attaching up onto the torso, which is probably the most complex part of the build. Now, it's kind of hard to see because of the wings, but I did quite a bit. The body is generally based around as well two Borak head halves facing downwards, and the stem on the inside is just a long Technic beam. But one of my favorite parts that I was able to accomplish in the design, as you can see if I open this up, flare this outwards a little bit, is the whole tube aesthetic. So these two Technic connectors, slightly angled outwards, not sure what degree of angle that is, but these are attached to the middle torso and connect the tension bands down to the upper leg, giving it that friction, and then the Technic tubes up to the neck, and as you can see all the way up here to this little connector part right there. It's kind of hard to see, but they basically come all the way up to the neck area. They bend around and they just give it a very robotic aesthetic. I'm dropping parts of him now. It just brings and wraps around the body very well. The torso itself is armored up mostly with this one Nuva armor, so it may look a little weird to some, but personally I wanted to have that on there just so I could kind of give more room for these Rahi kind of snout pieces that I actually implemented into the shoulder design to give them more room to pop. And these are implemented in a way so I could basically widen out the shoulders. This was an important part as well, since he is such a tall figure. I wanted to have wide shoulders. The arms themselves are pretty simple, honestly, pretty basic in nature. It's just a Roxy limb backwards attached onto a bit of a contraption here with some Rahi parts, or kind of throwbot slicer parts for the upper arm, armored up with a few things here and there, a few trinkets, but the main function of having this, as opposed to just some normal connector build, is being able to attach another tube out to the wings, which, as well as looking absolutely fucking awesome, because there's now tubes also coming from the arms to the wings. And what this really adds to the set is when you move the arm, the wing moves along with it. So this is a very realistic, I guess you could say, function to the MOC, which gives it some like realism to it. Why? Because, you know, normally, I guess if you would imagine some sort of dragon type of animal, Rahi, whatever you want to call it, it would have the wings sort of attached to the arms. So now if I move the arms, the wings move as well, and vice versa. If I move the wings, the arm moves as well, right? I keep dropping shit. The wings themselves, I sort of mocked out the design from Nivok, from the Turagadume Nivok set, at least on the upper part here, and just generally the structure of the way that they close and open. However, I've shrunk it down a little from the bottom and have connected it to these Metru limbs that then connect to the actual back of the torso. The reason for this is because it just would have been too stuck to the body if I would have done it otherwise, and it wouldn't have given them room to move around like this and for extra posability. So that was my main focus there. Now, I would normally move on to the head, but I missed to mention the small part, which would be the hands. Nothing super crazy going on there, just a basic triple claw using golly hooks. Something you might notice is he does not have a weapon. I actually did build him one, but I don't know, I just didn't like the look of it. I preferred the look without the weapon. I preferred sort of more of a natural wings and claws look, so I went with the bare claws, which are completely posable, all three fingers. Moving up to the head, and the focal point up here is the custom built design using a Onua claw as the bottom jaw, and this is an actual mobile jaw, so all you have to do is just push it upwards and the jaw opens. It does close back.
I actually used tension bands in order to allow the jaw to move back up.
As you can see inside there, I've got some tension bands attached, and the way that it's built, basically it bounces back up, right? It's sort of not working now, but you pull it up and it opens the jaw and then comes back up. So back here I've got a little bit of a collar going on here with another Pohatu Nuva claw. It gives him more of a menacing look, which obviously is an important part of any Makuta MOC. So there technically is a lot more to see in the MOC itself because it's so damn big. But I think this is about it that I could fit in one video without making it too long. That has been my depiction of Makuta Tridax. He's a winged beast, a fucking titan if I've ever seen one. And I'm pretty proud that I actually, without really even wanting to, made him even taller than Toa Matanui, which is the tallest Bionicle set released. That has been my overview of Makuta Tridax, my first real Bionicle MOC, and one of probably many to come in the future on this channel. So guys, let me know if you like this type of content. Me personally, I'm not a huge story guy when it comes to Bionicle. I mostly like the sets and just the design of them. So that is why I'm such a big fan of combiner models. In itself, combiner models are sort of, I guess, in a middle point between an official set and a MOC, because you are mocking with the parts from official sets. At least that's just the way I see it. But with that being said, guys, I appreciate you checking out this video. Please drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. But with that being said, guys, I appreciate you checking out this video. Go ahead and subscribe with a big red button. I'm sure you won't regret it. And give this video a like if you enjoyed my overview and if you liked this MOC. Also, let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see a bit more of a detailed look into the MOC and maybe even tutorial on how to do certain parts of it. Thank you guys for stopping by. This has been Facts on Builds.
And I am out!